I'm Lisa. I've never been arrested, so not a suspect. But
I'm suspicious of that.
So my sobriety date is June 10th, 2012. I will do a little qualifying. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't start drinking until I always drank alcoholically if I drank. I did not know that till I got here. And I blame you Americans for my alcoholism because I'm actually Canadian and I didn't really drink to really, my maintenance drinking until I moved here. So it's all your fault. All your fault. That's not to say that when I was living in Canada that I didn't drink to excess every time I drank, because I did. My first drink was when I was almost 21 years old, and that was because now that I think about it, because I wanted to fit in. I was working at a bar, motel, restaurant, and all of my friends who were my coworkers would go to the pub afterwards and they would drink and they couldn't believe that I didn't drink. So I eventually caved to that and said, okay, fine, I'm going to have a drink, which I did. It was not the magic elixir that I've heard some people speak of. It was basically something that I needed to do, get done, and I did. I'm the oldest of 5, and my father was the alcoholic closest to me. I was never going to be like him. He was mentally, physically, and verbally abusive, so I was never going to be that. And so I knew the way to do that was not to drink. So I had my first drink and got it out of the way, and then I didn't do it again for a while. But the next time I did do it, I did get drunk, and I loved it. I felt comfortable in my own skin, not a term I got here with, but it made sense to me when I heard it. Okay. Shake it off. I actually moved here when I met a man online. Not quite as exciting as it sounds, but I moved here in 2001. Very uncomfortable. I brought my 6-year-old daughter with me, but I didn't know anybody. I'm actually from Prince Edward Island, which is 4,000 miles away or whatever it is. And so I had no friends. I had no family. And so I decided to do what the natives were doing, as I call it, do what the natives were doing. And the natives were having a drink before dinner. They were drinking beer while they watched the news. They were, having mimosas with their breakfast out, which I was mortified when we went out to breakfast and everybody was having mimosas. I was like, what the hell? Who drinks for breakfast? Right? And so I was here about 3 weeks when I said to myself, Michelle, have you just drank every day for 3 weeks? The answer was yes. And then I said, well, that's not good, because I was never going to be an alcoholic. And that's not good. And then I went to the fridge and I got a beer and I drank every single day for the next 12 years. In that time, my husband got sick with cancer and died in 2005. And so now, only married 3 years in a country that doesn't acknowledge me yet because my paperwork through immigration is not done yet. The only thing I have is my daughter and my work, because I work a lot. And now I'm justified in my drinking. I have every reason in the world to drink. I'm 39 years old. I did not ever expect to be a widow at 39 years old. Now I'm single parent again. And drinking is my reward for all of that. And so I continued to drink every single day. I knew it was a problem, but it wasn't so much of a problem at that point in time that I thought I needed to quit. It wasn't until 11 years later that actually it was like 8 years later, because I struggled with my trying to stay sober for like 4 years before I got here. I knew I had to stop. I didn't know how to stop, even though I knew all kinds of stuff about Alcoholics Anonymous. most of my relationships back home were with recovered alcoholics. And so I would go to open meetings and I would, I listen, and they were all speaker meetings. So we weren't talking about what happened today. We were talking about experience, strength, and hope. And so I'd learned a lot. I'd actually read the first 164 pages because I put it on a cassette tape for a gentleman who couldn't read. So I thought I knew stuff. But when I had to figure out what to do about my alcoholism, the thought of AA never occurred to me, which cunning, baffling, and powerful I say alcohol is, because I'd spent 8 years going to Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, ACOA, and none of that occurred to me when I have a problem with alcoholism. Really shocking to me. I get over the fact that my husband has passed away, and now I start dating. I'm working at a liquor store, which initially I was like, my husband's not going to like this, but I'm working for a liquor store, but I'm desperate. I need a job. And that helped progress my alcoholism from the beer that I was drinking now to hard alcohol, because they didn't really sell beer. And so I become what Lisa and I were laughing about, the bottom shelf drinker. And we were also talking about this, that I never considered myself a prostitute, but I did have sex with a neighbor because he was going to buy middle shelf, not even top shelf, but middle shelf. I learned so much by coming in here. Not good stuff, not always good stuff. And so I get what I call a drinking buddy boyfriend, so now on the weekends I have someone to drink with me, because I was tired of drinking alone, but I'm still a single parent. One of my biggest regrets is that I was a single parent who was not present in my daughter's life. And I did not realize that then either. I was just so grateful when she'd go to her friend's house, because I would mix myself a good stiff drink when I got home, and she'd go to take a drink of it, and I'd say, "Don't drink that." And she'd go, "Oh," she put it down, because she knew I was drinking again. And I felt bad about that, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. So then, how are we doing? Okay, quick. I lose my cell phone on a drunk one night, and I need to find my cell phone. And someone had picked me up on the side of the road, and I thought maybe I'd lost my phone in his car. I went to a payphone, made a phone call because I knew his last name, which I could find in the phone book, and I called about my cell phone. That gentleman's wife was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and she didn't say that. She didn't say anything. She just said, "Call back in a few minutes. My husband will be back." And when I called back, he didn't have my phone, but he said, "Maybe you'd like to go to a meeting with my wife." He didn't say anything about Alcoholics Anonymous. He didn't say, just, go to a meeting. And all of a sudden, everything that I knew about Alcoholics Anonymous came rushing back to me. And I said, "No." I said I probably should, but no. And he said, "Well, you have the number if you change your mind." And I went home. I now have $11 in the bank. I'm about to be evicted from the house that my drinking buddy boyfriend owns. I don't have a job because the company that I worked for went out of business, and I haven't found another one yet. And I'm drinking the last of the booze that I could get because I'm out of money. And I have about this much left in my fifth of vodka. And I go, "Okay, we should call. And so I walked back down to the payphone and I called, and she said, "Where do you live?" I told her where I lived. She said she was coming. I go, what do you mean you're coming over? I live in a gated, my house was gated at the time. And so she said, "I have to go pick up a friend, so you have a little time," right? And I go, "Okay." And so I raced back to the house to drink the last of the booze because I had heard stories of them dumping it and I didn't have any more. Right? And they didn't believe me when I said that I would go to the meeting the next day, because all of a sudden I have my pride and I'm not going to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous drinking or drunk, which I was. And they didn't believe that I would go the next day. And but they came back anyway. They came back and they picked me up and they took me to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was a women's meeting. didn't like women, but I was there anyway. And for whatever reason, as terrified as I was, deer in the headlights, right? I was desperate enough to stay. I was desperate enough to get a sponsor within a very short period of time, and I got busy. And she said, once we start, we don't stop. And we didn't. I had a little hiccup at step 6 because I was a little worried about who I was going to turn out to be, even though I wasn't real happy with who I was anyway. But I got a little fearful in that step, and then she went on vacation, and I called her while she was on vacation, and I said, when you get back, we've got to do step 7. And we just moved on, and for whatever reason, I haven't had a reason to leave. Not to say that life has been fabulous, because it's been shit. I've been homeless, been penniless, been jobless, childless. My daughter no longer lived with me because she didn't like the way I was living. And I guess it was just enough for me to stop doing what I was doing. And I did not know that June the 10th was a big day in Alcoholics Anonymous, but when I did, I was like, okay, we're going to hang on to this one. We're going to hang on to this one. And so far I've been able to do that. I came here friendless, and now I know a number of people just in this room. I've known Lisa for 10 years, which is a shock. I've had the same job for 10 years in July, also a shock. This program has given me everything. I love my sponsor to death. She's sponsor number 4. And that's okay. Life keeps changing, and people move on and get lives that take them to other places. And it just means I'm going to grow some more. And, I'm probably going to move in the next 2 years. And that doesn't bother me, because I say I have a step up, because Alcoholics Anonymous is everywhere. It's everywhere. And so I will meet someone like me, right, who understands me, and it'll be okay. I have a faith today in a higher power that I did not come here with. I was upset with my God, and I was so grateful that I was able to get a new one, because this one works with me. It's not counting. It's not tallying up, when Michelle does things, tries to take control, and fucks things up. Works with me. And I can have faith in that today. And so I'm about to run out of time. So I just want to read this one paragraph. I love this paragraph. It's on page 558. All these things and many, many more AA gave me. But above all, it taught me how to handle sobriety. I have learned how to relate to people. Before AA, I could never do that comfortably without alcohol. I had learned to deal with disappointments and problems that once have sent me right to the bottle. I have come to realize that the name of the game is not so much to stop drinking as to stay sober. Alcoholics can stop drinking in many places and many ways, but Alcoholics Anonymous offers us a way to stay sober. I lived in a dream world. AA led me gently from this fantasizing to embracing reality with open arms, and I found it beautiful. For at last, I was at peace with myself, with others, and with God. Thanks for letting me share.
Sorry. All right. Thanks, Michelle. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting. Meeting expenses are covered by our voluntary contributions, and we are passing a basket. I also want to tell you that if you are new to Alcoholics Anonymous, or if you know somebody that is a newcomer and you think they would benefit by a little newcomer's packet, this is available for you. I will leave it right here. You can just pick it up. This is the